So my name is Ben. I sing in that Geek, and yeah, we're a pop punk band from North Wales, and yeah, we've been going for about 12 years. We're I'd say I don't know, maybe one of the only UK pop punk bands to do that, to be touring the world and still be around 10 years later, and we're very pleased to be here. So yeah, just got a new album on the way on January the 19th, and it's a ripper. So. Very stoked for people to hear it.
Beautiful, mate. Thanks for joining us tonight, Ben.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, as you say, neck deep are planning to drop your new self-titled album on January the 19th. So, what's this period like for you, mate? Like, you get nervous and anxious, you sort of put it to bed and you don't worry about it? Like, what sorts of things goes on?
Oof. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking in the sense of like, you finish a record and you put it out to the world, and then whatever people think of it is whatever people think of it. We always love what we do, and we always kind of write for us. But yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking thinking that the thing you work so hard on and the thing that you kind of poured your heart and soul into is going to be either loved or loathed by people. But I think people are going to love it. I think it's a little bit of a return to our roots in a lot of ways, and so I think fans are going to love that. But we still managed to keep it fresh, keep have a new element of the sound in there, maybe just overall a little tighter and a little slicker. So yeah, I think I'm not too nervous. I think fans are gonna.
And you
I think
weren't
this is
until I
one
brought it up anyway, were you?
that. um, so yeah, I don't know. It's chilling. I'm not too nervous about it. We got some big shows coming up that I'm more like, that I'm more nervous about. It's weird these days how you put out a record to support touring rather than the other way around. So
True.
um, yeah, we got our biggest headline show ever coming up in the UK, and that's my goal. I'm just like fully set on that. I'm just like I want to sell that out. Like I know people will love the record and the record will do well, and we're gonna have fun playing it. But like, yeah, to me, I want to see 10,000 people screaming the words back at me, and yeah, so yeah, a
Right.
few things to look forward to, a few things to be nervous about, but good nerves generally.
Awesome. So can we dive into the album a bit deeper musically, mate? Like, give us a bit of an insight into it musically and what you're going for.
Um, well, yeah, I mean, we're a pop punk band. We started off very much as a pop punk band, and obviously as the years have gone on, we've pushed it and kind of dipped our toes in a few different genres and tried different things. And I think it's now at a point where I don't know, maybe we got a little tired of writing pop punk at a point, and now I feel like we're just super stoked to write just like straight up pop punk in your face, short, sharp, to the point. A little bit sad, a little bit angry, just hitting on all the classic things that I think fans love about us. I think it's very relatable. It's talking about everyday problems, and hopefully could could help, or at least be a little arm around the shoulder for people listening to it. I think there's always an element of nostalgia with pop punk. It's whether you like it or not, I think that's kind of an element of why people like the genre. And so there's a little nostalgia in there. I think people will hear little callbacks and sort of sonic signatures of their favorite pop punk bands from the early 2000s. That's when we grew up, and that's what we loved about it. So yeah, it's just short, sharp, to the point, in your face. Leaning maybe a bit more on the punk side of things rather than the pop side of things. And yeah, if you like, energetic music, that can, be a little bit of a guide to life, or maybe just like I said, like an arm around the shoulder, then that's what we're all about. I think is helping people navigate this crazy world through crazy music. Really, yeah.
Awesome. So today, bro, you've released the singles "It Won't Be Like This Forever," "Take Me With You," "Heartbreak of the Century," and "We Need More Bricks." So, would you say overall those four songs are a good sonic representation of what to expect?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially with I think Heartbreak and Take Me With You and Bricks are like, they're very much like that core pop punk sound that we were going for. And I think that's very representative of the album. But then we're also known for like the more like kind of mid-tempo-y ballady kind of songs, which I think It Won't Be Like This Forever is kind of more in that vein. There's still a few other vibes on the record that people will hear when the full thing's out, but as a whole, I'd say yeah, pretty representative. Like I said, I think we've lent more on the pop punk side of things with this record. There's no acoustic songs or anything like that, and yeah, and but from what I think fans have been saying so far, because we're paranoid, so we read all the comments. And yeah, people seem to be liking the new direction, and I say new direction. People sort of like the us kind of going back to our roots a little bit, and so yeah, if you like what you heard from the singles, I think you're going to love the record. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that's just like that on there, and then a few other different things too.
Yeah. So on that point, mate, like you mentioned this a couple of times about returning to your roots. So can you explain a bit more what you mean by that? Like, is it writing style? Is it the music? Is it like what's in what way?
Kind of both really. Because the way the band started was we started in my brother's bedroom, who's my brother Seb, who plays bass for us. We started in his bedroom because he used to record us and help us write and stuff. And the way that we made this record was we did it all ourselves. So we have a studio like just down the road from where we live, and halfway through making the record, we were out in LA doing stuff, and it wasn't going the way that we wanted it to, and it wasn't sounding the way we wanted it to sound, and so we had to make the kind of brutal decision to pivot and said, right, well, no one knows us better than we know ourselves. It's kind of hard to explain conceptually to people what we're trying to go for when we just kind of have this inherent knowledge and this inherent like belief in what we were going for. So yeah, decided to take it back to roots and do it all ourselves, with my brother at the helm, and then us all kind of picking away at the songs behind him. And so that in itself, just the process of making the record was much more natural for us. We weren't far away from home. We weren't kind of having to compromise with anyone. Like we could it was totally on us. So, and that felt great. I think we've come a long way since we were teenagers writing songs in a bedroom, and so it's kind of going back to that old format, but with all of the knowledge and experience that we've picked up over the years, and applying it that way. So and as well with the sound, just sonically, like I said, we've kind of dipped our toes in a few other genres, and we've experimented a little bit, and I think it just felt right, and we kind of wanted to write a pop punk record. I think with our last record, it was a bit more expansive, and but we weren't really trying to write a pop punk record. We were kind of just on a different wave at the time, and I think post pandemic and having life put in perspective for us a little bit, we were just like, let's just do what we're good at. Let's do what people love us for. Let's do the thing that we kind of grew up wanting to do, and that's just right. Fast, energetic, kind of like in a way, kind of emo adjacent, hardcore adjacent pop punk, really. So, yeah, just simplifying it, really, and it felt good to do that. It felt right. It felt like this is the kind of music that we should be making, and I don't know, yeah, it just came really naturally, came really easily. So, yeah, in a few different ways, it feels like it's coming back to how and how it started, and kind of tapping into why we started the band, and ultimately that was just to write good music that we love and to hopefully be able to play that live to people, really. So
Yeah,
yeah, just
sure.
simplifying, and yeah.
Yeah, sure. And also part of that going back to Return to Roots approach too was you made the album in your own warehouse, which wasn't far from your old stomping grounds. Like, how did creating in that environment sort of affect the overall process and the overall sound of it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for us, we found it massively beneficial. Like I said, we were out playing the game out in LA, and doing the whole working with producers and this and that, and it was kind of at a point where we were like we couldn't express how we were feeling. You know, there was a kind of discord there, and we couldn't really like, yeah, we couldn't really communicate how we felt about the music. It was tough. You know, we found ourselves kind of looking at each other in those sessions and kind of gritting our teeth or sighing and kind of like. So when we got into our own space and we had to make no compromises, and you know, it just flowed immediately. Just made it so much easier. I think just, you know, whether that's down to us having a better understand, like, you know, I'd say like the main songwriters of the band are all pretty telepathic with how things, you know, with what we like. You know, we can kind of look at each other and be like, that's not it, or and but then when the thing, you know, when we find the thing, when we find the part, it's like everyone just immediately knows that's how it should be sounding. And I think as well, just an environmental thing as well. A lot of it, like when we were out in LA, it was like it wasn't like we were in the thick of Hollywood and we were living it up. We were like out in the fucking sticks somewhere, and it was like, I don't know, nothing around. Like everything was expensive. Like the place we were staying wasn't that like home. It wasn't very like comfortable for us. And then just like when you're in the studio, you know, you're in someone else's space. You're living. You're kind of working to their schedule and their rules and like the way that they like to do things, and that's fine. You know, we've done that a million times, and it's all well and good, respect it, but like we just had this desire to we needed to do it our way, and we needed to be in a space that we felt more comfortable in. So being just down the road and just being able to do whatever we want, work as late as we want, like take a break whenever we want, you know, have a few beers or whatever, like then it's cool. Like, you know, it just made it so much easier. There was less pressure on it. You know, we weren't on this like allotted time that we had to get stuff done. It just opened it up a lot more, and we could just relax a little bit and take our time with it. Say relax a little bit, like obviously making a record is hard work, but
Yeah,
it we weren't treading on eggshells, you know, we were just much more comfortable, and that's super important making a record, you know. If
sure.
you're trying to write great songs, but you're also concerned about like, I don't know, oh, can I wear my shoes in this little area of the
Do
studio?
I
Is
take my
like,
shoes off there?
yeah, it's like yeah, it's weird, you know. We were just like we wanted to have fun doing what we were doing, and I think LA kind of broke us a little bit. So yeah, switched up the environment, and as soon as we got in the studio at home, we were like, this is so much better. Like this is how we wanted things to sound. So paid off in the end.
Yeah, sure. Now, this is Neck Deep's fifth album, mate. So, why decide that this is the one worth giving your name to?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was we had a lot of album titles floating around, and there were a few that were like strong contenders. But I think when a self-titled was suggested, everyone just kind of was like, "Yeah." I mean, if there's ever a record to do it, like it maybe seems like this one. The fact that we, like you know, like we've said, is the fact that we did it all ourselves, and the fact that we it was kind of going back to our roots, and it was all totally self-sufficient. Was there's ever an album to self-title, it's this one, you know, and yeah, just landed. I think when I can't remember who suggested it when we were in the studio, but everyone seems to be comfortable with it, and you know, you got to have one. We're big Blink-182 fans, so I think we've always had our eyes set on like we should do a self-title one day. Like, that would be cool, you know. So yeah, I think it was just easy. It felt right. It encapsulated what the record kind of felt like to us and what it was about, and it was about us kind of rediscovering ourselves a little bit. I think everything from post-pandemic to having to switch up halfway through making the record was a big period of like rediscovery for us, figuring out who we were, where we wanted to go, what people expected of us, and what was kind of at the core of the band. And so, yeah, it was a bit of a rediscovery, and I think that justified the self-title really.
It's actually a big sell. Like, I might be the only one in the world who thinks like this, but if I'm coming across a band that I haven't heard much of before and they've got a few albums out, I'll always go to the self-titled one because to me, the band made their name to that. So to me, the band's really happy with that. So that's the one I'll go to if I have to listen to one album. I might be the only one in the world that does that, but
I think that's valid. You know, I think again the one that always comes to mind for me is Blink 182 self titled, and like that is arguably their best album. You know, obviously everyone has their favorites, but it's arguably their best record, and it's the record maybe they were most proud of knowing of how they made it and stuff like that. Maybe again, it was similar for them, like the way that they made that record. It took them a long time. They struggled to get through it, but they stuck to their guns and did what they wanted to do. And maybe they felt like that was the Blink-182 they wanted to be. So, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And
Yeah.
if that's the case, if anyone else thinks like that, then sick. They're gonna hear what I think is the most true to Neck Deep record that we've made for a while. Yeah.
Awesome. So the album comes out on January the 19th, bro. So what's in store for Neck Deep after that? I bet you've got shitloads of fun.
Yeah, a lot of touring. Yeah. So yeah, we had straight into a full US tour. And then we've got like we go to Japan with Sum 41, which will be rad. And then
Cool.
yeah, then we got like our biggest ever UK, like our biggest ever headliner coming up in the UK, which is in Alexandra Palace, which is usually where they show the darts, but
Yeah, I've
it's
heard
a
of
sick,
that.
yeah. It's a sick venue though. It's like 10,000 people, just flat, no seats, no nothing like that. So, plenty of moshing and plenty of crowd surfing and plenty of fun. So, yeah, it's gonna be pretty hectic. Obviously, you know, we're kind of sat twitching our thumbs, just waiting for the record to come out and see what fans really think of it. But we got really high hopes for everything, and I think things generally look like they're going well. So I don't know, we're just in a good place as a band at the minute as well. Like, you know, everyone in the band is very content, and you know, we're all in a good place. There's no lingering band dude stuff like hanging around in the back. It's like everybody's on the same page and everybody's just determined to kind of get it done. And you know, we're at that point in our career now where like we can sustain this for as long as we want. We can do this for the rest of our lives, whether we're playing to 10 people or to 10,000 people. Like if we just keep doing what we're doing and we do this for us and write the songs that we want to write and you know, stick to our guns, then I think we can do this for you know, as long as we want. Really, it's just a good period for the band, and stoked to get back on the road and just do what we do. Really, like we're not trying, like I said about simplifying things, like
Yeah.
you know, maybe we've had to take a step back and say like, hey, let's not keep trying to just be the biggest band in the world, because you know when you're 19 and you're touring the world, you think like, oh, let's take this as far as we can. Like, oh, we're gonna be the biggest band in the world. And like, you know, we've you know come so far, and we're so blessed to be where we're at, and so we're just trying to sustain that. And you know,
Enjoy it.
whatever comes of that, it's cool. Like whether we get even, you know, whether we get bigger as a band, or whether we just like if we're just chilling, and you know, this is us. Like we're just very content with where we're at as a band, and so as long as the shows are good and our fans like the music, like you know, that's all that really matters to us. So we're in a good place. We're very happy at the minute.
Okay, brother. Okay, well, very nice to meet you, Ben. Great chatting with you, mate. The
Likewise, man.
album is out January 19th, and next time you come to Australia, we're having a beer.